Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to tear apart this Spyderco Delica that I just got, and I wasn't really going to tear it apart. It doesn't necessarily need to be cleaned, but the pivot came loose, or the pivot when I got it was loose because they didn't use any Loctite on it. So I figured that since I need to take it apart, I just figured I would tear it down since I need to kind of, I wanted to clean it off and stuff anyway and get some Loctite on it. I figured I would just take it apart instead and just make sure that everything else is good on the inside and do some cleaning and whatnot of it, just because. And I'm kind of taking it apart in the wrong order. I was going to pull the screws apart before I pulled the pivot out, but yeah, whatever. So I wanted to just hopefully make this a really, see, they put Loctite on these frame screw hardware, it looks like. Why is it not on the pivots? Well, it's not on all of the hardware apparently. So a good thing. I mean, I wasn't too worried about these, the hardware screws, but now seeing that it's hit and miss and whatnot, it's a good idea. So when you first get a knife, I mean, it's not a bad idea to check the pivot just to make sure that it is, has some Loctite on it. I don't know if I need to pull out the clip screws. I think I do. It's a good idea to check the pivot. I noticed it because there was a lot of blade play. So I tightened the pivot a little bit and then I didn't put any Loctite. I could have and just called it done, but I did not. So anyway, it gives me a chance to take it all apart and do a quick video because, there's nothing wrong with that. It never hurts to get a little more information out there to you guys. And yeah, so they put Loctite on some of the things, but not all of them. So I don't know why that is, right? So a little, not dirty, but it's got some extra oil and stuff on it because it's new. And so when they're new, they kind of put a lot of oil on them for shipping and, whatnot. So we will get all that cleaned off. We'll put some new oil in it and get it back together with some Loctite so that it doesn't come apart again because it's in great shape. I mean, it's brand new. It just was missing the Loctite on the pivot, which being a brand new knife was a bit irritating. But that's the difference between a production, like a true production, mass marketed piece than a, custom or mid-tech type of knife. Typically, and I'm not going to say that it never happens on production or mid-tech or custom or mid-tech knives, I've gotten some knives, and I won't name makers, but I have gotten some higher end mid-techs, you would call them, that were not sharpened. I had one come, which was really cool. I guess I did realize that the backspacer is also glow in the dark. And is it 2-piece or is that? Yeah, it must be because there's metal liners under it. So it does have a full metal liner, which is nice. Let's see, I got some lube over here. I'll clean off the blade real quick. But I have had some mid-tech handmade knives, technically handmade, I guess, that did come unsharpened. They had the whole grind in. They just did not put the final bevel. and actually sharpen the knife. Like, not like it was dull, like they just didn't do a good job sharpening it. No, they just legit didn't sharpen it at all. So that was rather frustrating on a $1,000 knife, actually. So you kind of learn, you kind of see and learn and whatnot what happens. So you kind of check your knives when you get them to make sure that they are what they're supposed to be, is kind of the moral to that story. So much like this, the pivot was loose, so here we are getting that fixed. No big deal. Take 2 seconds here. Okay, maybe a little more than 2 seconds, but you know what I mean. Get this all put back together and call it good here in a minute. Once I figure out how it all goes together, there we go. A little more lube here. So yeah, just because it's a expensive knife doesn't mean that it didn't pass, you know, its final check. So you want to check. I've also had a knife, again, won't name names, but again, an over $1,000 knife, mid-tech type thing, that came and the lock failed the day I took it out of the box. That one, if I was smarter, I would have gone to the emergency room and gotten stitches in my thumb or my finger that time, because yeah, it was pretty deep when it failed on my finger. Why is this not lining up quite right? Yeah, I guess that's fine. Sometimes you have to kind of put some tension on it to, you know, you have to kind of play with it. Is there tension? Is there not tension? To make sure that everything lines up properly. And this one's gonna give me a little bit of drama with that one spacer there. So, I mean, it wasn't a big deal. I reached out to the manufacturer, you know, / maker of that knife. They said, send it in. I sent it in. They fixed it and they sent it right back. But just because it's brand new, just because it's expensive, does not mean that it's going to be perfect right out of the box. Okay? So just a little word of caution, if you will. I want to get some new Loctite on these. Get my little alcohol out of the way, get this all set up. Oops, almost dropped the cap all over the place. But yeah, see, I mean, no Loctite on brand new thing. It's like, come on, people. Just for the record, doing your job is part of doing your job. So you got to do more than just show up to work. Showing up is a great start of the day, but actually performing the work that you are supposed to be doing is equally, if not more important. This is going to be kind of weird to put together. I don't know why. What is going on here? It's a little bit. Well, maybe that's just how it is. So there's people that put the Loctite on most of the screws, but not all of them. And again, I don't know how these are all assembled in wherever these are assembled at Spyderco. I'm guessing they're not hand done. The machine puts them together. You know, I don't know. But whatever it is, it did not get done properly on this particular knife. So it is what it is. We're going to get it sorted out here. Not a problem. Just is what it is. So, but that's what happens. So pay attention to your tools so that you can notice that something is amiss and address it before it becomes a problem, right? Not really a big deal. Missing some Loctite, not the end of the world, but better to find out now than when I'm out and about and the pivot comes all the way loose, because that's not the time to find out that there was a problem. All right? So it's not just Spyderco, it's any maker and any manufacturer. Now it's definitely worse when, oh boy, this pivot, there you go. It's certainly worse when it's $1,000 knife or more, or a $500, or whatever. The price doesn't really matter. Even on a production knife like this, I would have expected Loctite on the pivot. Whoever's not putting Loctite on your pivots, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's just not the way to make it. You got to have Loctite on your pivot. On your body of the screws and stuff, maybe not so much, but, and we'll put the clip on here in a second, but so really you're going to have it as loose as you can, but as tight as you need it to be. So you want it loose, but you don't want any blade play in any direction. So the looser you can have it, the smoother the action's going to be, right? So what I did is I kind of just loosened it up, check the centering. It's decently centered. Super smooth right there. It should maybe drop a little bit, but that feels pretty good, and there's no, maybe a tiny bit of blade play. So you give it just a little, like you don't even feel that it moved, but it did. So that's pretty smooth. Like I said in my review video, these aren't going to drop shut on this particular model with the lockbacks. Sometimes you can kind of force it down and it may loosen up a little bit as it kind of wears in some and the oil gets all around, but I'm good with it the way it is right there. So we'll get the clip back in and then call it a day. And the Loctite will tighten up, harden up overnight, and it'll be good to go. And these ones were pretty tight without new Loctite. There's some on there, so I think we're good with that. If we can get this first one lined up at least. There we go. And again, you just kind of lightly tighten them in until you get them all lined up. So yeah, check your stuff and check them periodically. If you've got a knife that you've been, using for a while, you may want to just take a Torx bit or a screwdriver or whatever fastener it is and give it just a little tweak just to make sure that things are tight, because it's easier to do it one night at home than it is to do it out on a job site, or when the clip falls off in your car, or whatever, right? So there you have it. And because this thing glows in the dark, as odd as it sounds, we'll do a quick loom shot as we close you out. So thanks for watching. This is, a quick down and dirty. Just really wanted to address the pivot, but figured I'd take it all apart and lube it up with, the lube that I use and call it good. So thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Be sure to to stay tuned for the next ones. And back here in the back, we've got the Loom Monster from my buddy Jerry that matches really well with the knife. So thanks, guys. Have a great one, and we'll see you on the next video.